What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade. Basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about Russell Westbrook getting traded for John Wall. This was something that was rumored for a couple weeks, and now it has become an actual trade that has been done. And this is a tough situation to evaluate because both of these teams are trying to be competitive and both of these teams made a move. Obviously, if I was the Wizards, I probably would wanted to keep John Wall over Russ because he fits better with Bradley Beal. Russell Westbrook is an aggressive guard that likes to score. Stat guy wants to get his stats and his numbers. Not really known as a real winner when it comes to playing in games and how he approaches the game. But at the same time, the Rockets, they get John Wall. They get rid of Russ, get a pick. And, some people look at John Wall as a guy that has been putting in a lot of work, has still been a 20-point scorer for numerous seasons, an unselfish guy, can take over games, but also is a facilitator. I do wonder what this trade really means for Harden and Beal because both of these guys, I don't really see them staying in a situation. So I don't really look at this trade making either one of these teams significantly better. I don't think Russ makes the Wizards significantly better. And I don't think John Wall, even if he plays amazing, I don't think he makes the Rockets, a championship contender. I do like the fact that him and Boogie are together. I wanted to see that happen at least once. And Boogie isn't the same. He's a shell of himself. And they both are coming off seasons where they have to prove their value. A lot of people are low on them. A lot of people look at them as, damaged goods. A lot of people look at them as guys that, are cast-offs. John Wall been criticized for being not worth his contract, one of the most overpaid players in the league. And that's how a lot of people feel about him. So coming into Houston, he's playing with one of the best players in the world in James Harden. He's playing with a new coach, which was going to happen anyway because he got traded. And he's playing with a roster that's, decent. I don't look at the Rockets as a championship team, but I do look at them as one of the best teams in the West still, even with John Wall. He doesn't solve the shooting problem that they had, but John Wall will take him. He's a guy that doesn't mind passing them up, but he also is a guy that's a lot more team-oriented to me than Russ. Russ will get his numbers. You have to change to fit in with Russ. You have to, change your style of play, like trading, Clint Capella for Robert Covington so he can benefit. John Wall is different. He can play with shooters. He can find guys. He made a lot of centers like Martian Gortat look a lot better than what they was to me. And you have a guy like Christian Wood and DeMarcus that can actually do multiple things offensively as bigs that he really didn't even have in Washington, to be honest. And James Harden is one of the most unstoppable guys in the entire league. And, Bradley Beal is getting up there too, as he had a fantastic season. But, people like the fact that Russell is going back with Scott Brooks. They're playing the up-tempo offense. They're playing the offense where everybody's going out there gunning. Everybody's trying to go out there and, go guns blazing and score a lot of points. Russ fits in that. He showed that when he was the man in OKC. He showed that in Houston that if he can get up and down the court and get to the paint, and even if he has to kick it out, even if he turns it over, which all happens, he can make plays. Russ is an aggressive guy. He is a guy that's relentless, and he is a guy that's always pushing, and that's what the Wizards was doing last year. They was coming up, and they was a tough team to stop. And him and Bradley Beal can score whenever they want to at this point in their careers. And I don't think that's going to, change, if they do decide to keep this duo together. But at the same time, I look at it like this. I don't really think this made the Wizards significantly better. Getting Russ is going to give you a lot of excitement. He's going to score a lot of points. They're going to win a good enough games because they won enough to be in the conversation for a playoff spot, but they just didn't have the talent to be a legitimate playoff team in the East because John Wall missed the entire season basically. So they had no replacement for him, but they was paying him. But at least Russ going to come in and you know what he's going to bring to the table and you know what type of player that he is. And, I don't really think it's going to win them a significant amount of games, and I don't really think it makes them a significantly better team. But stylistically, I think it could possibly work in Washington when it comes to being a great offensive team. But defensively and the talent that they have around him and Bradley Beal in Washington, I don't see this being a long-term solution for the Wizards. I think Bradley Beal is either going to be gone or this roster is going to have to change drastically because I just don't see a scenario where they can actually be a threat in the East with the talent that they have on this roster. They still going to be tough to defend. They still going to be in your face, but Bradley Beal, you should be trying to convince him to stay. And I don't think this move does that. I don't think keeping John Wall does that because at the end of the day, this team is not a championship team with or without John Wall and Russ. But when I look at it from the Rockets' perspective, I feel like him and Harden can be a decent duo. I don't think Harden long term is going to be in Houston anytime you're turning down $50 million. Anytime you're telling people that you're already talking and playing with other teammates and you want to go, that's just a signal to let you know that Harden is nothing that you can really do to convince him. Even if you keep him this entire season, he still is a huge threat to leave, in his final year that he can become a free agent after that year. So I don't really think, getting John Wall is really going to convince, James Harden to stay. But I do think they still have a competitive roster in the West, but I don't look at them being a contender. And you can play Wood and DeMarcus Cousins together if you want to go big. The problem is defensively. And that's been a big problem with the Rockets. When they had Chris Paul, they was one of the best offensive and defensive teams. And they have lost that completely. And I think John Wall is a competitor. He does like to talk a lot. He does like to be into defenders and going at people. But that's what make it fun at the same time. And I look at the pairing, and John Wall is going to make a lot of these guys, along with James Harden, who is a good passer for his position. They're going to have a lot of pieces where they're going to be lobbing, they're going to be kicking out, they're going to be embarrassing teams, but it just to fit in the playoffs. And I think that's the thing that I look at with both of these teams. Like, this trade to me don't change their trajectory as a contender. And that was my biggest problem with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. I looked at them as a duo. You trade Chris Paul, you trade the picks to get Russ. And then you trade Covington to get Ariza. Then you trade Covington and Ariza to get Christian Wood and DeMarcus Cousins. And then you get a pick back getting John Wall. And you get, the same team just with John Wall. I don't really see that as upgrading. I love me some John Wall. I'm a fan of his, but he's not a significant upgrade over Russ. And this team was in the middle last year. They was a team that everybody knew could play, everybody knew can compete, but nobody looked at the Rockets as a team that can win it all. And I don't really think that changes with the addition of John Wall and the other additions that they have made. Now, we do have to be fair. We do have to see what Silas does if they keep this duo together for the season. What he going to do as a coach? What system? How they're going to defend? And how they're going to play? Because we don't know at all what they're going to do because we haven't seen them as a head coach ever. So we have to give them some time if this is the team that they're going to go into the season with, and give him a fair chance. He's in a tough situation where his star wanted to leave. He's in a situation where these two stars that he had coming into the situation already broke up. And he's coming into a situation where he never been a head coach in the NBA. So he's in a tough situation. He wanted to be a head coach. He finally got his opportunity, and now it don't look as good because it's so much uncertainty with Harden. And Harden is one of the best players in the world. And when you lose him, you're going into more of a rebuilding type of situation. And now it's just a matter of time. It's a countdown. How long is Harden going to stay in Houston? Is it just this season? Will he be going in the off season? Will he just get frustrated and try to be gone before trade deadline? We know how the disgruntled superstars go. Team's going to want him. You lose value the more you hold on to them, and if they get injured or they don't want to play, you lose even more value. Eventually, you're gonna have to move him to where he wants to go because he can go there anyway when he's a free agent. Because any team will clear cap space to get a guy like Harden. And I understand why the Rockets want to hold on to him, but at the end of the day, it's doomed. I don't see this move making them significantly better. I don't see this move increasing their chance as a championship team. But I do see this move being, somewhat, let's try something different. Let's roll the dice and see what we got. And if it's not good enough, well, we just try to move on in the future. That's basically what this is for both teams. Because I love me some Bradley Beal, but I don't see him and Russ really meshing to the point where he wants to stay here long term. And I don't look at that for Harden either. So I don't really think this trade solves the problems. I don't really see this trade helping either one of the stars stay longer. And I don't really see this trade being, a significant advantage for either team. I think they both going to be interesting. I think they both going to be competitive. But this team really didn't make either one of the teams significantly better or better at all. If anything, it just gives them a different style, or it helps them with their style, but it still failed to make them an elite team at the end of the day. Because when you have a duo like James Harden and John Wall, you're trying to win the title with that team. And I don't feel like they can do that this year. And honestly, I don't think the Wizards are even close to being that either. So this was a trade that you do it to keep them happy, but you're not going to keep them happy long term. So this trade really was, I don't really care for it, but also we'll see. It gives us something to watch these teams for to see if it's going to work, to see which one of these guys going to be going first on their team. That's what I see this as. Other than that, just give us something to keep an eye on. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description, comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description, comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. Thanks for everybody that likes on Facebook. Thanks for everybody that checks it out. You can also buy merchandise on my Facebook page. You can buy hats, change the color of the hat, change the color of the shirt, change the color of the logo, pick the logo you want, customize it the way you want to. Message me and I can get it shipped out to you. Not only that, I make videos just like this. Breakdowns of the hottest topics, free agency, trade deadline. Also cover breakdowns of players, legends, rookies, summer league coverage, summer league breakdown, draft coverage, top 10 lists, season previews, and other things like that, even discussions. Not only that, comment, read every comment, so feel free to let me know if I'm right, if I'm wrong, if I'm crazy, or at the end of the day, you just want to tell me you're excited, or you want to tell me what I'm sleeping on. Whatever you want to say, feel free to leave it, because I read it. And on top of that, like and share. Liking and sharing allows this channel to reach more people. That's another way you can support the channel if you don't want to buy any merchandise. Other than that, Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, I'm gone. And let me know what y'all guys think about this acquisition.